All right, I'm here with Coach Butch Pedersen of West Branch Football. Butch, I want to ask you a couple questions today regarding the upcoming season and the off season as well. So this coming season is going to be the 25th anniversary of the program's first state championship, and it's also going to be your 32nd season of coaching, if I'm correct. Want to talk about not only this season, but just past seasons in general. What keeps you motivated about coaching, and what do you love most about it?
I think the challenge of changing with the times, the challenge of being around kids. Kids now compared to 25 years ago have definitely changed. The bottom line is they still want to win. They still want to hustle. They still want to listen and improve, and I think that's important, and that's what keeps me coming. And also my assistant coaches, I like to see them grow as individuals and as coaches. And quite frankly, and when I go, people always ask, well, how much longer are you going to do this? I go to the Iowa Football Coaches Association meeting in Ames or wherever it's at, Waterloo now, and I go into some of these committee meetings. I'm one of the youngest coaches there. You have like Dickie Ty out there at 83 years old, and you had Kenny Winkler at 72, and on and on and on and on. And when I go in there, I'm a little baby on those guys, and so I don't really feel old. And I think basically 32 years is a number. When you get to the point where you don't think you can do it, or it's not fun, then you need to get out of it. And I haven't even come close to that, so I don't even know how long I'm going to coach. But it's going to be significantly time period more. I'm not even close.
Now we're only in May, but August is just a short time away before we begin practice and even the games. But right now, what are you having the players doing in the off season to prepare for the upcoming season, and also the coaches too?
A lot of the things that the players do, they do a lot of weightlifting. Phil has them this summer. There'll be 2 days that they'll be doing speed and agility on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, he'll be doing extensive heavy weightlifting with the kids, and they'll do a lot of that. The 7-on-7 people, which is the shell on offense and the shell on defense, we have 6 different dates that we have that we're going to do 7-on-7 camps and games. And I think that was one of the keys last year, that we beat Lisbon. They had every bit as much talent as we did, but we played a lot of 7-on-7. And if you can think back to that game, we hit them with some passes early, and those things came right from the practice field that we did that summer up at Coe College and up at Cedar Rapids Prairie. And that was the difference in the ball game.
Cool.
Coaching-wise, we had the kids, we had the coaches go to a lot of different clinics. We went to the University of Michigan this year up in Ann Arbor and learned some more things up there. Last year we went to Ohio State. The year before that we were at Notre Dame. So we don't go to Timbuktu, we go to some big programs, and we learn a lot from those particular programs. And we want to keep our technique up and modern, because you'll know some of the coaches around the state that have been at it a while, they're still running exactly the same thing they did 30 years ago. We run something different sometimes every game. And so no, we're very, very modern and very up to date.
Cool, good. And then outside of the weightlifting, what is going to be the biggest emphasis this off season heading into the coming season?
I think every season, what kind of chemistry you have, how do you mesh as a group of kids? Are you willing to do the extra things? Hayden Fry used to call it the extra heartbeat. Do West Branch kids have the extra heartbeat? We think so, but we have to determine that every year. And if we have that extra heartbeat, we can be competitive with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, concerning the team chemistry, do you notice that the kids are spending their summers together, outside of just the football arena? Because I feel like having chemistry outside of just football can really help, everything within football.
I think football is a small part of chemistry. I think that's when they all culminate into what we're going to try to get done. But the more they hang around, and do extra things together and go out and whatever they want to do, mud on a dirty road some night, whatever they want to do, that's the fun thing for growing up and being kids. And, I see our kids hanging around a lot. And the other thing that West Branch football coaches do better than any coaches in our school district, in my opinion, is we really stress multi-sport athletes. And we want them to go to wrestling camp. We want them to go to basketball things. We want them to do a variety of things in order to, have a well-rounded athlete. And they have a lot of that stuff that they do in the summer as well as just football.
What is the biggest thing to improve on, for the team to improve on, after after gauging the performance of last season?
I think consistency and being able to know field knowledge. For example, if it's 3rd and 8 and you're a defensive back, you may want to loosen up a little bit. So just having court sense, or we call it field sense, is very, very important. Know the game, learn from your mistakes. And I think we played pretty hard last year, but at times we were not very intelligent field-wise and sense-wise as far as game situations were concerned. And that's something that you coach. That's something that you gather with game experience. And we did have a lot of young kids on the field last year, and that's not an excuse. That's a reality. And they did grow up a lot, I think, during the year, and I think you're going to see that this year.
Good, good. Now, the last season's seniors, they're going to be graduating very soon. What holes have they left on the team that you're going to need to address this offseason and maybe even find out during the season this year?
Well, first of all, on offense, Michael Gould was a tremendous running back, better on defense than he was on offense, but he was a good running back. Tyler Dunham was one of the better receivers we had. Casey Pence kind of had a tough season where he was hurt a lot, but he did a lot of things very, very well for us offensively and defensively. Justin Roth was a great linebacker for us, and he showed a lot of maturity and leadership skills. Those 4 kids are going to be missed, as the rest of them. Johnny Gingrich stepped in, did a lot of things well for us, and I don't want to name one without naming them all, but we had some seniors that I think surprised some people. I think that they really were never successful really before in football, and last year they surprised a lot of people, and I was really pleased to see them be able to do that.
Cool. Now switching gears from the outgoing seniors to the incoming freshmen, what are your thoughts, and what have you seen so far from the incoming freshman class?
It's a freshman class is what I call a tweener class. They don't have a lot of depth. They have a lot of kids that could develop into football players. They need to get bigger. They need to get stronger. Their parents need to understand what's important and how to become an athlete, and that's pretty typical of freshman players and parents. They have to learn how to pay the price, and I think if they do that, they could be a tweener class where they have a class below them that has a lot of numbers. Excuse me, they have a class above them that has a lot of numbers, but they're going to be one of those classes that fill in certain spots. So I think there's some good athletes there, and I think they'll develop well.
And I know you had the spring football meeting just recently where the freshman class was there. How much have you gotten them involved so far with the program? Are they going to be joining the speed and agility and the weightlifting?
Oh yes,
starting?
We try to get our junior high kids involved in weightlifting when they're in 7th grade. So not just in football but in all sports, and we really highly encourage that. And the ones that really want to be good are going to be the ones that do that extra thing. Again, that extra heartbeat, and so they've been lifting weights, some of them for 2 years, and you can tell it on some of their bodies. And some of them haven't really figured it out yet, and their parents are concerned about weightlifting, getting hurt. But Phil Johnson does a great job. He's not going to put anybody in a position where they're going to get hurt. And I think the old days of dinosaurs where you don't want to lift until you reach puberty are long, long over with. You've got to be able to get those kids in there early, teach them proper technique, and get them motivated as far as work habits are concerned.
And outside of them getting into the weight room, what else do you do, or what does the program do with the 7th and 8th graders to help them get ready for high school football? Basically,
that's a lot to do with Richie Stout. He's the head man up there in the junior high level, and they also have the 5th and 6th grade padded league, and Mr. Canuper helps run that thing, and Rick Sexton also is in the junior high staff, and we have our flag football for the little ones, and that's more fun, getting out there and kind of having some fun on a Sunday afternoon or whatever. But we kind of let those guys run their programs. We have a camp that will be running in August, and that's for grades, I think, 3 through 8. And we've kind of changed that camp this year where the 7th and 8th grade are kind of at a later time during the day, and they'll actually be starting to do some of the things they're going to be doing during the season. So it's going to be more of a regimented thing for the older kids this year.
Great, great. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this coming season is 25th anniversary since the program's first state championship. Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of what you remember about that game specifically? I think it was on November 11th, and it kicked off at 11:11 a.m.
That's correct.
If I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. And we played Logan Magnolia, and they were a great football team. Gave us a tremendous contest. We played extremely hard that day, and to remember that game when what it was like when it was over with was an incredible feeling. to look down and see all the eyes that you see in front of you that you had preached and preached to about you work hard, good things will happen, and all of a sudden it all came to be reality. A lot of those faces will never be forgotten for me. And I think the one class, maybe the 1988 class, was the team that first got us in the playoffs, and that team kind of set the stage for the next year where they were hungry after the 88 year, so they went into 89 and they were not going to be denied, and they weren't denied, and that was a great feel. Somebody says, you know, is that one more special than the rest of them? They're all special. So I don't think you ever want to say one's more special than the other one. But that very first one, especially that particular, Lance was a center on that particular team, so that made it special. But they're all special to me, and I'm anxious to see if we can get some kids back in honor of those kids because they worked their hearts out for us.
Yeah, definitely. Now, kind of keeping on the same throwback theme, week 3 of this coming season is going to be Throwback Night. We're playing West Burlington, Notre Dame, and we're going to be wearing purple jerseys. Do you want to care to explain that and talk about that?
Well, we have talked about in the past having a throwback game. And
I know I've mentioned it to you several times.
Yeah, you
before.
have, and it's a good idea. And so we finally decided to do it, and we're going to honor some of the past West Branch Bears. The purple jerseys is what they wore in the 30s and the 40s, and then all of a sudden the war came, and they ran out of purple dye. So our colors then went to red and white, and at those times back there in the purple and white days, they were the polar bears. And where they ever got the name, I'm not sure, but they were the polar bears. And so on the side of our helmet this year is going to be a big polar bear, and that's going to be in honor of the past West Branch football players that we have. I think too many times, Matt, that you forget people in the past. And that's wrong. And I think that the tradition and history of West Branch football started long before I ever got here. And it's going to be here long after I'm gone. And I want to remember that. And a lot of people want to remember that. So be able to walk down that street and with our walk with purple and white on and the polar bear on the side of our hat. And a lot of people in the bleachers will have on purple and white T-shirts that are being sold, by the way.
Yep. And
that should be a fun night. And we're going to make a big deal out of it. We're going to call the papers. And we think it's a special night. And it's going to be something that we aren't going to forget.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Butch, I know there's a lot of things that are going to be happening as far as improving the facilities here at Oliphant Street Field. You want to talk about what's going to be happening with that?
I think, I know we're going to have new lights from Musco. And I don't think we've had new lights here for 40, 45 years. And I know that it's very dim here and it's very yellow. And I think you're going to see a tremendous difference. There's going to be 4 poles put up, and the project is supposed to be done by July 30th. And I know that the press box is a real concern. It's kind of an eyesore upstairs. It's not the safest environment for us. But I know that Ruben Galvan is going to try to fix that up a little bit this summer. We don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it because down the road we hope to have a brand new press box, but there'll be some renovations made up in the press box as well. And there'll be a lot of new painting going around, and we'd like to paint these little car railings that we have over here black and red again and kind of spruce it up that way a little bit. And there's a company out of Chicago that's considering putting us on a TV show, a one-night TV show where they'll come for a week and go to school with the kids and come to our practices and have a little reality TV show. And we're one of the schools out of 13 schools they're going to do it with, and they had over 300 schools that they contacted. Wow. And we don't know if we were picked or not, but at this stage of the game, we're in the final, in the final 20. So we're going to see how that plays out, and that'd be a lot of fun for the community.
Cool. I know it's always fun to see some of the different paint schemes that happen on the field. Have there been any plans as far as something cool for that? Maybe even for the throwback game, doing some purple? I'm
sure there'll be some purple on the field the night of the throwback game, and we've had things for breast awareness, and we've had a lot of different things, and our people do a great job getting our field ready, and this is a special place. The Little Rose Bowl is special, and it has been for a long, long time. And a story here, we have some people, even that when they have passed away, their ashes are on this field. In the 50-yard line down in the end zone of former coaches here, and it's a special situation, and I'm very, very proud of the West Branch football field.
Last season, the team exceeded media expectations by going 6-4, with a lot of those 4 losses being very, very close, so they could have gone either way. Now that districts are out and the season schedule is out, what are your thoughts on the upcoming season with?
I think we start off again with Lisbon at Lisbon, and they're going to have a good football team. Ken Allison's done a great job up there. It's going to be a nice challenge for us. We then picked up West Liberty. They've been wanting to play us for a while since Cade Jones scored a touchdown down here, and on a controversial call, and
that was an exciting game.
That was an exciting game, and they've been asking for us for ever since that game, so they got us now. And they're going to have a good football team. They always have a good football team. And then the third game is Burlington Notre Dame, and the quarterback on that particular team is our athletic director's son, and they are loaded. They have a lot of talent. So we're playing some 2A schools, and we're only a 1A school, but that's fine with me because we're only going to get better in those non-district games. And then in the district itself, you know, North Cedar is definitely the favorite. They have 3 all-state football players returning, and I know that they're extremely excited about their program, and they're going to be probably ranked extremely high in the state of Iowa. And we have to go back to North Cedar with the train tracks up there. We always seem to play at North Cedar, and that's okay because as long as they have a 100-yard field, it's the same for everybody. And Wilton's going to be extremely strong as well. They have a lot of good players down there. Jacob Giese and some of those kids are great athletes. And so those 2 teams, I think, in the district itself are going to be the favorites, and we're probably looked at number 3. But, you know, Wapello, Alburnett are some 2 teams that are going to have some good teams. Bellevue, we haven't played them in a while. So we got some other teams that we have to play as well that you better show up. Alburnett, we went out there a couple years ago, and they kicked our fanny up in Alburnett, and we came back later in the same season and beat them and knocked them out of the playoffs. But they have a very good coaching staff, and they're going to be a nice contest for us.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you, Butch. And we look forward to the upcoming season. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm just excited about what we have here. I'm happy for my son and his new position at Mount Vernon. I think it's a great move. They're going to be a 3A school shortly, and West Branch has always been a football town. It's always going to be a football town. So it's really enjoyable for me to come out here each year and to have the ability and the being able to hang around people like you, Matt, and Jason, and the people who spend all the extra time that you never get a lot of credit for are very special, and that's part of the program, and that's why our program is, indeed a tradition of excellence, and it's the people who don't get paid who come out here and labor of love. That's who I'm really proud of, too.
Awesome. Thank you, Butch.
All right.